Here we are. Here's my finished aquaponics system. I'm trying to think what version this is. 3, maybe? So in this iteration, I'm just using the fish tank as a sump. And I was worried. I didn't want to drop the fish tank water level too much. But I think everything is sized very well. And it's a 25-gallon fish tank, and it only drops down maybe 3 inches, I believe probably less. So the light stand on the outside, that is from a hanging wicker chair, papasan chair I think it is, and so that's a steel frame. The bottom was a complete circle and wouldn't fit around this base. So with an angle grinder rather, I cut the front out, so there's a slot so now the whole thing slips right over the table. The outer table frame is just from a small chair and table set that we had outside, and the wood had rotted away, and I held on to the frame because it was nice. In previous iterations, I had the fish tank off the floor, a grow bed to the side, and a sump under the grow bed. And I had some sort of leak, and I couldn't figure it out. It must have been a seepage, but it was definitely wet in the living room, so you can't have that. So I just tried to think of mitigating every leak factor I could think of. So the plumbing underneath the tank is now all cemented, and the actual grow media, the grow bed on top, is situated right over the fish tank, so, and along with all of the plumbing. So if there was any problem at all, it would just dump water back down into the fish tank, and the fish tank has enough capacity to hold everything from the entire system. So as long as everything goes downstream with gravity, it can leak all it wants to. However, it's not. So the grow bed on top is a ceramic grow bed. I got that from Green Acres, and in testing it out, realized that it was not waterproof, and so it leaked. So I got a liquid pond liner, and this is a gray in this grow light. It's hard to tell the color, but this is gray, and it's very it's almost like a glaze once you cure it with time. This is a 4-inch gravel guard, a 2-inch bell siphon setup. I did go ahead and paint everything with the Crayon Fusion spray paint. With this iteration, I was going for more of a living room setup, so I just really was going for aesthetics. And so the light stand is also painted the same brown. And also, this is a regular just aluminum utility light, and I took the clamp off and it's just hanging, so I can adjust this. But the outside of this is also painted the same brown. This is an LED light and a single LED light bulb. So the inside of it is still shiny, reflective aluminum, so that's nice. My water intake from the fish tank is a little tiny pond pump type thing. And I've just had clear hosing until there's a reason not to, and I guess that would be algae. That's just going to come up and dump right in the grow media. So another thing I did this time, I have really with all of this systems, is I set it up outside in the backyard first. Not the fish tank. Down at the bottom I just had a big tote that represented the fish tank. And that's where I kind of dialed in all of the flow and made sure everything was going to work. And nonetheless, though, when I brought it inside and set it up, I still had to do some adjustments on the plumbing. I'll show you that in just a second. But The main difference this time in running the system outside and testing it is once I had it dialed in, I left it outside and I ran it for over a week, almost 2 weeks. So all the paint, everything had a chance, and we've had very hot weather here in California. It's been actually the main week all of this was outside. It was 100 degrees almost 5 days in a row, or over 100 rather. So the hotter it is, the quicker your paint and solvents and anything are going to off gas. And I just wanted to bring everything into the living room without any chemical smells. I didn't want to put the fish through that. So everything had well over 7 days, probably closer to 14 days to completely cure outside, bake in this direct sunlight in my backyard, run, cycle, and not cycle for bacteria, but now that I brought it inside, I have zero smells. I don't smell any spray paint. I don't smell any of the cement solvents. Everything's all good. So patience, I guess, is one of the things I really learned with this setup. So with this, it wasn't watertight, but also there was a single 3/4 inch hole in the bottom, and I wanted to go to 1-inch plumbing for all of my outlets. So experimenting, I finally ended up, and I'm glad I own it now. I've used it for many things since I got it, but I got an angle grinder with a really good diamond embedded hole saw bit. And with that, I was able to drill these dry holes in the bottom in seconds. I mean, you just, like I said, I drilled it dry. And prior to this, I was using drill bits and Dremel and cut-off discs, and it just was no good. And I didn't get anywhere. So I got the grinder, I got the bits, practically just laid it on top of it, and zip, done. So those are two 1-inch uni seal gaskets in there. But once again, I was going for permanency. So from the top under the lip of the uniseals, these are still, and on top of everything else, they have a silicone bead around that. So that should go pretty good. So I've got 2 pipes coming down. I have an overflow standpipe, and then that's my bell siphon. It's a nice long run. I misadjusted one part. So this end actually came out over a little over my fish tank. So I cut a piece out and I just used a union because I had already painted all of this. So I used a union coupling right here, which is actually nice. And it is why I did originally design it into right here, is because these swivel. So I can adjust things and really get it dialed in. That works pretty good. So this tank has had another system built into it, dismantled, and now another one, so these fish are used to it. And these are just, I believe I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 12 or 13 white cloud minnows. I have 2 penguin tetra left. Prior to introducing aquaponics into this system, I went through multiple problems with my tank, which is one reason I got into aquaponics, was just learning about external filters. And in the end, when you get into sumps, you start to think, why aren't I growing edible food in there? So anyways, and I also have 2 smaller pleco running around in here somewhere. So, you know, aquaponics in your fish tank is an amazing thing. You can see the black hair algae. That was, you get problems with that in every fish tank, but I dimmed my light a bit, and with the introduction of the aquaponics, and I mean, everything just stays in check. If anything, it has reduced the amount of this hair. So it was increasing a lot between systems. So I had the one system with the leak, and before I got this tied in yesterday, this one, it was really coming back. So it's just almost an instant improvement. And then the clarity of the water. I mean, just in one day of introducing the aquaponics back, just expanding that, I guess, mechanical filtration, the clarity is just stupid. I mean, it's just amazing. So you can see that this cycles pretty quickly. The outlet just flushes right down into the tank. My outlet is out of the water. It reduces the amount of gurgling. It does still gurgle. That's the nature of the bell siphon. I wouldn't have it any other way. This hang on the back filter is really just completely in this unit, and it may come out at some point, but not for at least a few months or longer. There's no reason to take it out. I could just keep cleaning it. There's plenty of bacteria in here, so it's actually a little farm right now. The only reason I would take it out is if I wanted to quiet the system in general, but I don't mind it. So this is pretty cool. It's my happiest system yet. I may do another video of my system that I have out on the deck, which is larger. And the only other thing I'd add is try and keep it simple and never just dump your clay pellets into your grow media and get off and running. You need to rinse these things thoroughly. So I got a Home Depot 5-gallon bucket, drilled a whole bunch of holes around the bottom. So I had a massive colander, and between that and sometimes I'll take the 50 the 50-pound bag of this stuff, and before I open it, I'll actually, this is what I did this last time and it worked out really well. Slice a whole bunch of holes in the bottom of it, and then on the top, cut the top of the bag off and just flood it. And keep flooding it, and you get a lot of the clay dust off before you even take it out of the bag. Then I would pour that into my DIY colander over a wheelbarrow, and did another massive rinse. So when I turned on this pump, there was the very first flush had some sediment, not a lot, but that was it. Everything after this has just been crystal clear. And I think the fish like the water flow too. And it seems like there's some calmer zones in the back, so if they want to chill, they can actually avoid this. But I don't think they do. I think they kind of get into it. Okay, well, that's my living room system 3.0, I guess. Toodles.